reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network.
I'm a guest at Jagex talking about RuneScape, and I'm talking to one of the most important people on the team. Could you introduce yourself, please, sir?
Hi, my name's Mark Oglevie, and I'm the design director for RuneScape.
So what's a design director do?
So I'm kind of the vision holder for the product, I guess. I get to get my hands dirty with all the different facets of design that we're doing, whether or not that's just simply naming characters or coming up with gameplay. I help to shape every single year of content that we make. And when we update every single week, that's a lot of content to handle.
And what is I was almost going to say, what is RuneScape? What's the vision of RuneScape? What do you want to achieve with this?
So I want to make RuneScape a truly living, breathing world where every single player feels like a hero that has the capacity to shape the future of the game world, where they're in a world where every single action that they take means something. It has ramifications in the future. I want to deliver a world where they can have engaging relationships with characters. I want to challenge their perceptions on what MMO gaming should provide.
But that's a style of gaming that's a bit out of fashion, basically since World of Warcraft. What is it that you think will bring people who are used to modern games to a game like RuneScape that's much more world-like and less instanced?
Well, I think actually I would disagree with you that that kind of style of game isn't going anywhere. I think RuneScape's always taken a different stance. We always consider the storytelling to be a big part of our world. And storytelling has been part of the world for a long time. The concept of families passing stories from generation to generation, watching those stories be retold and new facets of those stories being added every time someone else tells that story. We're just providing that storytelling via a different medium. I think it's always going to be something that's incredibly strong. No one's going to say that the concept of books or, you know, those kind of things are dead. It doesn't. It just evolves in a different way. You know, just because they don't walk around with pages anymore and they're on a Kindle or something like that doesn't mean that people don't read anymore. It's just a different way of delivering that medium. And RuneScape is simply a platform for players to enjoy that kind of engagement in a world. I don't think that everything has to be experienced in these kind of, you know, little microcultures. I think it can be part of a living, breathing experience.
You're saying storytelling is a big thing, and I think it's also to do with the origins of the game that goes way back to text-based worlds like MUDs. Mm-hmm. Then your predecessors, your team, the creators created a graphical version of this, and now we're to version 3. And what you're updating is graphics. So graphics do matter?
Graphics kind of matter, yeah. I mean, as storytellers, you want to be able to assault every single one of the senses of your players, right? And graphics is just one of those elements. I think the audio is also equally important to us, and we're working really hard to kind of, you know, get rid of all the old MIDI sounds and give them something where it feels like part of the world that they're in.
The graphical updates, is that something that originates from your team, or are there requests from your community, or do you want to reach new audiences by updating graphics? What is the reason for going into this new update?
I think a lot of people a few years ago might have looked at RuneScape for the first time and dismissed it because they're used to console gaming.
Guilty.
It's a real shame because people judge things through their eyes very, very quickly. You know, it's interesting, you look at cookery and things like that, and you know, sometimes it's not about the taste of the meal that's the most important thing, it's the way that it looks on a plate. And it's really important for chefs to make their food look pretty, and that's no different from us. You know, ultimately, you know, we're just stirring the cauldron of various different things. And if we need to improve the graphics so that people can say, yeah, actually that's something I do want to invest some time in, then why wouldn't we do that? It just would seem stupid not to. Particularly when we're moving into different realms of technology. HTML5 gives us a new way of breathing life into the game world, and we'd be stupid not to use it.
I'm very curious why you cling to the browser as your home. I mean, I can understand it in a way that you make it accessible, but you're also keeping the older Java access point. Yeah. Why aren't you branching out into a full client, which would be able to do even more than your browser?
Who knows? We might do that in the future.
So, so you're not ruling that out. So you're not married to the browser.
I don't rule anything out. I think RuneScape is a living, breathing experience. We're always trying new things. You know, it was the tech team that came to us and said, we've been exploring with HTML5. We think we can make something work. You know, we said, all right, let's try it. Let's see what happens. There's no reason why we couldn't, you know, in a year or 2 years' time, decide to try something completely different. I think that's what makes Jagex kind of exciting, because we're always trying new things, not just in gameplay, but also the kind of technology that we want to use.
So the idea of prettying up the game is more something out of your team and not something that came out of the community? It's not like your players were complaining about that it was starting to look dated?
I think a bit of both, really. I think our community are incredibly passionate about the game. And I think sometimes when we reinvent things, they don't necessarily see the need to reinvent it. And when we first started talking about HTML5, they're kind of like, well, I like the game just how it is. I don't need a better experience. Once we put the beta live, you know, and they started experiencing those things themselves, they suddenly it's like they've opened their eyes. They feel like they're part of an experience that's even bigger than they first thought about.
You said something in the presentation that made me choke a bit in fear, because you said the customer is always right. And I read forums of MMOs, and that's simply not true.
Well, look, lots of people have different opinions on things, and we do weekly updates so that we have the ability to come up with ideas that really resonate with those individual groups of players.
It's your design. I mean, you know this stuff. I mean, you've been doing this for 12 years. Mm-hmm. So do you think, in what sense do you think the customer is always right?
I think, all right, let me just think about that question. Ultimately, they've been playing RuneScape for a long time. They are deeply passionate about the product. They think they know what's right for the game. They are as passionate about any of us in the workplace. And you'd be foolish not to use that kind of, that passion. You know, just because they might rant about something in the forum, and just because they might not write about it in an eloquent way, doesn't mean they're wrong. And they're entitled to their own opinions. You know, we're designers. We have the ability to kind of shape those opinions into something real that actually functions in the game. And it's interesting that we can launch updates and it can be, you know, ferociously opposed. Yet 2 or 3 months later, it's part of the everyday way that they play the game. And if you ask them again, then they're not going to rant about it because they like it quite a lot. But then, you know, sometimes ranters don't want to say positive things. They're just motivated by saying bad things. But that's absolutely fine. It's just a different style of passion. It's just a different way that we can get feedback from our players. I'm not fussy about how that feedback is delivered.
Well, it's certainly very cool that you make the players part. I mean, have them join in the conversation. I mean, it is a shared experience, and it's nothing without your players. Yes. I was wondering, you are rolling this update out in the coming months. Mm-hmm. Do you have any date yet?
I can't give you a date, unfortunately.
I was not expecting you to give me a date, but I have to ask you questions.
Of course. At the moment, we're happy with the statement of summer 2013.
What do you think? What is your measure of success after you roll this out? Do you want to grow the game? Is this a success in numbers or satisfaction of customers? Don't say both. You have to pick one.
Okay.
At least expand on it.
So the measure of success for me would be players picking up the flag that we have been waving for so many years and motivating other players to follow those banners. They're going to be faced with so many choices that mean great things for the future of the game. We're not championing those choices anymore. It will be up to the players to decide how things evolve in the future. So they're going to have to pick up those banners and wave them from the rooftops and say, this is what I believe, this is what I think is right. And it's when those kind of champions of ideas kind of emerge, that's when I know we'll have been a success.
I'll edit this hesitation out. I'm going blank. I think this is a good ending. Okay. Thank you so much, and good luck. I'm very intrigued by the new graphical style, and there's so much content in that game.
I know.
It's overwhelming.
I don't think it's overwhelming. I think the fact that there's so many choices is an incredible place to be. The fact that you're not, you know, told how to interact with the content as well. The fact that we're not class limited. It gives players the ultimate freedom. And all of the new work that we're doing with the interface system, it allows them to consume the content that they want to consume rather than feel compelled to do everything.
I'm so glad to see a game still alive that doesn't have set classes and allows you to just do what you want to do and be someone in the virtual world.
Well, that's what freedom's all about, isn't it? Yeah. Why would you restrict your players in that way? I don't understand.
Thank you.